Hello everybody and welcome back to the Thrustmaster Virtual GP Championship. It is round number 10, the first ever race of Virtual GP at Sepang, Malaysia. We've lost it in real life Formula 1, but fortunately we've got this fantastic race for you this afternoon. I'm Matthew Gallagher and joining me once again in the commentary box is Justin Sutton.
Thank you so much for having me. Very happy to be back and very happy to be at this circuit as well. It's definitely a personal favorite of mine. It's got lots of overtaking opportunities, low speed corners, high speed corners. I think we're in for a good show.
And look how close it is in the championship after round 9. Only 3 points separating the two protagonists, Šmídl and Štefanko. Who will come out on top of this Thrustmaster Virtual GP Championship? We will find out very, very shortly. Who will take some good steps towards the championship next time we go to round number 11? So there's only a few rounds left.
The Thrustmaster Virtual GP 2017 season has offered some stunning races and incredible on-track battles already. After 9 races, the championship is still wide open, and the year has been full of ups and downs for many. Let's take a look at what has happened in 2017 so far. As defending champion, Michal Šmídl entered the season as the favorite, and he didn't disappoint his fans after taking a win in the opening round at Imola. It was clear that he had been preparing for the new season in his big shock-powered car, and that preparation had paid off. However, after a great battle with Honzik last season, there was a new opponent on the rise, Martin Štefanko. After a mediocre debut season last year, Štefanko worked hard through the winter and took his Republic of Gamers car to the first win in round 2 at Germany.
It's been a brilliant drive from him, and he is going to be on the top step of the podium for round 2.
Since then, both drivers have shared not just podiums and pole positions, but also some brilliant wheel-to-wheel battles. The best one came in Austria, where Štefanko put a lot of pressure on Šmídl, who even cracked for a moment, but then showed why he is a 2-time champion and left Štefanko to settle for only 2nd place.
This is the moment that Štefanko has waited for. Šmídl holds on to the lead.
Šmídl has 5 wins to his name so far, while Štefanko has only 3 after missing an opportunity in Italy where Šmídl didn't participate. Only 8 points are now between both drivers, and with only 3 races to go in the season. Honzik had hoped to clinch a championship after a stunning debut season last year, but he has been struggling in 2017. With no wins, he is currently sitting 3rd in the standings after an incredible 6 podiums. He was able to fight the championship leaders in Canada, but he had to admit later that Šmídl and Štefanko are in another league. However, the Thrustmaster driver is ready for any opportunity to take at least 1 win this year. An interesting battle is underway for 4th place between Polesny and Zubek. The Acer Predator driver had some bad luck this year, including a software glitch in France, but in general he has shown strong pace. He even managed to pick up his first win in Monza last time out. Unfortunately, he also had plenty of incidents with Zubek from Avast. Zubek has had several penalties already due to some collisions with Polesny, but apart from that, he is among the fastest drivers with 4 podiums to his name. As always, it is pretty evenly matched in the midfield. Chlad and Bashko shared the cockpit in Effective Racing's car, with the latter bringing home 4th place as the best result of the season. They're just ahead of another duo in the championship, Chlebek and Liškák, who have been sharing the cockpit of the TP-Link car since round 1. While Liškák had been able to secure a podium in Belgium, it was up to Chlebek most of the time, as Liškák was fulfilling his Formula Students commitments. Chlebek was struggling with his setups, and he is going to have a challenging task for the rest of the season to try and take away 5th place from Effective. Just below them is a battle for 7th position in the standings, this time between Blazek from BenQ and Sakura from T-Mobile. While the former had struggled at the beginning, he has shown signs of improvement. That makes things harder for the unlucky Sakura, who had some brilliant races like in Silverstone, where he almost finished 4th before crashing on the final lap of the race. But his 5th place in Italy promises that he will put up a fight. Jan Frabisch didn't match his expectations after a strong previous season. He has been struggling and even missed a couple of races where Robin Lucas had driven the Lynx car, who is a rookie that lacked for pace and without a good setup. A similar story has been surrounding the DX Racer team. Dolazel started the season with poor results as he was not able to fully understand the car. His struggles had continued until he gave up his seat for Kostulik, a Slavic driver who finished 10th in both his races so far. There have been so many stories so far this season, and most importantly, great battles for every position. Now let's head for round 10 in Malaysia, which can reveal answers to the championship mystery. Šmídl or Štefanko? Let's wait and see.
It is very tight at the top as we now ride on board with Michal Šmídl coming over the line to start a hot lap around this wonderful Malaysian track. One of my personal favourites, and unfortunately it is not on the calendar. Braking very hard, a little bit of a counter steer there going into turn 1. You want to keep it tight on the apex. This is very cambered, this second corner. It's all about the exit as you come flying downhill, and then you go back uphill slightly towards turn number 4, I believe this is. Very hard braking zone, just probably about the 100-metre board, yep, down into second gear. Missing the apex just slightly. You maybe want to clip it a little bit, run out wide just as Michal does there to get best acceleration. Now this part of the track is just fantastic. Left and then right, a slight lift I think, runs just about wide enough without track extending, and now into this double right-hander. It's beautiful if you get these two corners hooked up, which Michal does very nicely indeed. Another hard braking zone now, just after the 100-metre board again, down and turning. I think it's into second gear again, it was indeed, and back up the hill. Very difficult to get the traction right on that uphill right-hander, and then this corner is so difficult to spot your turn in, and he does it perfectly as we now come down the hill again through this left-hander. And again, this part here, very difficult to spot your braking point. It's the where the curb appears on the left-hand side, that's where Šmídl appears to have braked. Again, getting a little bit of counter steer on the right-hand, and they're down the straight now. Not really much to think about apart from the final corner where we'll be braking just as, well actually just before the curb appears on the right there, and there's many different lines you can take round that final corner. Šmídl fighting the car, and this should be interesting to see if we see more of that in this weekend's race.
So after qualifying, it is Martin Štefanko that takes pole position by just 38 1/1000ths of a second ahead of, you guessed it, Michal Šmídl, who will line up alongside him on the front row of the grid. In third position, it is Honzik, where we've seen him so many times this season, less than 7/10 off of that pole time set by Štefanko. Then comes Zubek, just about 3/10 off of Honzik. Plesny will start from 5th position. Then comes Jan Sikora in the T-Mobile car, starting from 6th position in the third row of the grid. Baško, with an impressive 7th, will be starting ahead of Michael Blazek, and bringing up the rear on the 5th row of the grid, it is Martin Kastiljak and Robin Lucas for Lynx.
We are on the grid here now, ready for this 28-lap race. We only have a few rounds left in this Thrustmaster Virtual GP season, and the drivers are waiting for the lights, and here they come. It's lights out and away we go. Štefanko from pole position gets a very poor start, and Šmídl's already ahead of him going towards turn 1. Honzik's got a pretty good run as well. Wow, they're so close going into turn 1. Štefanko going back into the slipstream slightly there, but now trying to go round the outside into turn 1, and Šmídl has taken the lead. Honzik maintains third position, and that's Sikora and Plesny battling into the first few corners, but Šmídl is out in front.
Ooh, big oversteer moment coming out of that third corner, which is very strange, just a flat-out corner. Must have had some problems with cold tires or something like that. Some more battling going on, actually, as Sikora, I believe, goes around the outside of somebody. Yeah, he's going to try and go up the inside now at turn 5. We've got lots of battling going on here for what is essentially third position. So Šmídl and Štefanko already starting to break away. Sikora has managed to get ahead of Zubek and Plesny. He's now up into 6th position. And it looks like Michael Blazek is going to be leading this train of cars into the turn 9 hairpin and then up the hill to start sector 3. He's got...
around the outside. Baško of Honzik up into P4. Honzik got caught on the apex, I think, a little bit with Blazek. And Baško went all the way around the outside. A fantastic move. And that's Lucas. No, it's not Lucas. Plesny. That's Plesny going off. Plesny, who has really impressed this season, down in 9th, making a very uncharacteristic mistake there. As I think he won Monza, didn't he? So that was a very uncharacteristic mistake from Plesny there. But we now look, well, I mean, Šmídl and Štefanko have absolutely gone, as we have Blazek and Baško fighting into the final corner. Who's going to come out on top here? It seems like it's going to be Blazek for now, but then Honzik is coming back and then trying to get involved in this three-way fight, and it just seems like it's going to be a completely different race for these guys compared to Šmídl and Štefanko out in front. Honzik going to go try and go up the inside, going towards turn 1, but he's going to get pincered again by Bashko trying to defend, and Honzik tries to go round the outside whilst going up the inside of Bashko. This is fantastic racing, but the guys out in front are already 5 seconds clear.
Yeah, incredible gap we're seeing from the leaders already, as they're really not bothering each other. I mean, we haven't seen any side-by-side action since the start. Here goes Honzik up the inside at turn 4. He's going to get the move done on Blazek and retake that third-place position where he started, of course, remember. But there is still plenty of battling going on. Zubek's got to worry about Sakura behind. At some point, we missed Zubek retaking that 6th place position. Sakura was up in 6th, but has since lost that position. And now Zubek actually putting the pressure on Bashko as they come out of the double right-hander and head down towards the left-handed chicane in Sector 2 here. And Zubek not able to make the move on this particular occasion, but he is piling on the pressure onto Karl Bashko just ahead of him. And I have a feeling we're going to see an overtake attempt here, possibly into the final corner at the end of this lap, or into the first corner at the start of the next lap. But Zubek is definitely seeming very quick there. He's going to be putting on lots of pressure. Meanwhile, Štefanko is keeping up with Šmídl just about, but as I mentioned, Matt, we really haven't seen any side-by-side stuff from the two of them since the beginning of that first lap.
No, it seems like Šmídl has just about the edge over Štefanko currently, just keeping it about a second gap between the two of them, and then it is the rest of the field scrapping away for P3 with Honzik, who, you know, you have to say over the course of the season has been more of a closer to Šmídl and Štefanko than he has been to the rest of the pack, and has been quite a solid third place contender this season, but he's definitely seemed to be more on the pace of the guys behind, although he is pulling out a little bit of a gap now that he's just started to settle down. But qualifying really showing that Šmídl and Štefanko are class of the field, only 38 thousandths of a second separating them, and then Honzik was 6/10 back, which just shows that the absolute raw speed that those two have, and they're showing it again in this race. They are absolutely gone, so they have nothing to worry about apart from potentially pitting and coming out around this pack. But there's no driver for TP Link, is something I have to mention. A 5 points penalty will follow.
So Martin Štefanko is following behind Michal Šmídl at the moment, coming towards the end of lap 3 now. And of course, both of them have their signature very serious look at the moment. We'll see if that changes throughout the course of this race. But getting into that decreasing radius corner, the penultimate corner of this Malaysian Grand Prix circuit. And it's a difficult circuit to navigate, and that corner in particular can be quite difficult to navigate as well. It can be tough to find your braking points. Let's have a quick replay of that terrible start from Martin Štefanko, or incredible start from Michal Šmídl. I'm not sure which is which, but no, based on how Honzik closed up as well, I'm going to go ahead and say that that was a bad start for Štefanko after what was a disappointing result in Monza as well, a race he, by all arguments, should have won and did not win. So Štefanko just seems to maybe be struggling a little bit. Wow, Zubek looks like he's going to try and dive up the inside of two cars, make some contact with Blazek, and that's going to send him into a spin, and that's going to drop him right down to the very back. Robin Lucas, the only car still behind him after he had that spin at the start of lap 1 at turn 3, but Zubek is going to drop right down behind Polesny. So Polesny and Zubek currently in 8th and 9th, which is not normal for those guys. You know, these are guys that are podium contenders. These are the guys that we usually see battling with Honzik and putting some pressure on him for that podium position. They're now down in 8th and 9th, which means we could be in for an incredible recovery drive from the two of them, which could mean lots of overtaking.
So here we have a replay of Zubek unfortunately locking up that front right, and he had one little tap and then lost the car again, and unfortunately showing a little bit of his rookie elements that he has. Obviously he's new to this season, and unfortunately he's had a very impressive results this season, but unfortunately they're just deciding to go for a move that really wasn't quite on into turn 1, and we're now on board with the rear wing. We're not anymore, but we were with Šmídl, who it seems like Štefanko just closing in a little bit there. 0.7 seconds it says on the screen as Bashko and Blazek fight for 4th position. I'm sure they'll be extremely happy if they come out with P4. They just got to make sure they don't trip over each other. They've got a about a second and a half buffer to Sakura behind, so it's reasonably comfortable if they keep it consistent. And they all seem to be spreading out a little bit now after the hectic first lap that they had, where they were going 3 wide through corners that you don't really expect. And they're all just settling into their race strategy now. Speaking of strategy, we have the hard, the medium, the soft and the super softs available for these guys, and the expected strategy, because it is quite high temperatures at the moment, 27 degrees air, 34 degrees track temperature, means that they'll probably go for the hard and the mediums, because those tyres will be able to last a little bit longer in these quite painful conditions for the tyres. And it seems like Štefanko closing in as we have a nice slow-mo shot here, Justin. I don't think we've seen that before.
That is lovely. I do enjoy that. That's I believe that's the turn 9 hairpin as they come up the hill to start sector 3, and truly a beautiful circuit and great looking car as well. And there we see Zubek, who again was down into 9th position after making that failed overtake attempt that put him down into second to last position in this race. So he's got some work cut out for him. He's just a couple of seconds back off of Polesny, but Bashko is right on the back of Blazek. Bashko and Blazek, this might be the battle that lasts the entire race. We always seem to have one battle that in Virtual GP that just lasts the entire race distance, and I think this might be the one that we're on for here. Bashko still driving in a car that bears the name of Richard Schlad, who we haven't seen in a little while, but he is going to be he's going to be part of that fight for 4th position against Blazek here up ahead as they make their way down towards turn 1 to start the 6th lap of this Malaysian Grand Prix and into the braking zone. Not going to be any sort of overtake attempts for him. He could try something sneaky with the curves on the run down towards turn 4 here potentially, as Polesny now putting the move on Martin into turn 2 and into turn 3 with the inside line. Surely that's going to give him 7th position, and it does indeed. Zubek will be the next one closing up on him and trying to make that overtake. We can see him not too far off into the background. Polesny actually having to go defensive into turn 4. Ooh. It's not quite worked out for him, actually. He's going to be side by side, and he's lost the position back down into 8th. Fantastic racing here we're seeing from Kostilic as he retakes that 7th place position from Polesny, and that's allowed Zubek actually to close right up, which could be very beneficial for Kostilic, as if Polesny and Zubek start going side by side here, that could be super beneficial for him, and then he could turn his focus towards Sakura up ahead in that 6th place position, who has actually started to build quite a gap. So we've got this battle for 7th position, we got the battle for 4th position, and as you mentioned earlier, Matt, Hanzik really has started to pull away from that battle. I mean, he was 0.3 quicker in qualifying, so we kind of knew that he had that pace. But it's quieted down a little bit for Hanzik. He's got a 5-second gap ahead, a 10-second gap behind. So it should be a quiet race for him, barring assuming that he doesn't have any sort of mistakes or anything. Štefanko, though, gets pretty close, tucked underneath the gearbox of that big shot car as they go into turn 1 at the start of lap 7 now. And I mean, this is what we're so used to seeing all season long, Matt, is these two guys running in close formation, but not necessarily side by side. Oh my gosh, speaking of side by side, nearly 3 wide into the first corner. It looks like Polesny is going to sneak up the inside. Zubek's going to try and follow him and see if he can take that 8th place position off Kostilic. And it doesn't quite look like it's going to work out for him. Polesny again is going to have to go defensive into turn 4 here. And let's see if he can actually hold on to the 7th place position this time. He's going to leave him the room at the outside of the corner, but now he's going to have to go around the outside at turn 5. He's got the speed, though, and it looks like he's got the position.
Yeah, he ran slightly wide, did Kostilic, and onto the grass, so that would have affected his grip, and I think that's going to allow Zubek an opportunity. You don't see this very often. It's the double right-hander, and Zubek takes the position as well. You can tell that Polesny and Zubek definitely out of position compared to where they're usually running, and that's showing with their lap times. I mean, they were nearly 2 seconds quicker than Martin on that last lap alone was Zubek. So these guys will start to push through and maybe start closing down on Sakura, Bashko and Blazek towards this sort of mid to end part of the race. Štefanko, though, definitely seems to have the pace at the moment now. I thought, at the beginning of the race, Šmídl maybe had the edge, but now Štefanko closing in. Obviously, it's worth mentioning that Michal Šmídl's back at Big Shot because he was away last time out and lost a few points to Martin, and that's hence the 3-point deficit now with only a couple of races to go after this one. And Michal Šmídl has actually signed for Acer Predator for 2018, which means he'll join Wojtek Polesny. So there'll be 2 cars for Acer Predator next season, and that'll be interesting to see what kind of teammate rivalry that will produce. I'm sure they'll both want to impress their sponsors next season, so that should be interesting, although Šmídl seems to have the upper hand in terms of pace over the course, if this season's anything to go by. And actually, hold on, okay, the reason they're only 3 points, I wondered why they were so close. The reason why they were only 3 points separated is because Šmídl got a 5-point penalty for not finding a replacement in Monza.
Interesting. So, I mean, I guess he could have just thrown in a relative or something like that.
Anyone. Yeah, his dog, whatever.
Anybody at all. Just to put into the cockpit for the race. So, yeah, that
still would have beaten Štefanko. I mean, he had a terrible race.
But, yeah, he's lost another 5 points. So what was an 8-point gap has turned into a 3-point gap, and with only 3 races remaining, including this one. So it is very, very close in the championship. I suppose we should be thanking him for doing that, though, because it has made the championship that little bit more exciting. Now, Bashko, turning our focus to what's happening on track, I think Bashko really needs to get by Blazek here. Sakura has closed right up to the back of them. We now have this 3-way battle for 4th position, and it is really hotting up here as they get to the end of this lap into the final corner. Are we going to see any moves here from Zubek on Polesny? I believe that is. Yes, that is on Polesny. Zubek up the inside at the final corner. He's going to get a good run out of the corner as well. They're going to be side by side coming down the start-finish straight towards turn 1, though. Zubek with the inside line, but it does seem Polesny with a little bit better straight-line speed or acceleration, potentially a gearing differential there, or just Kerr's usage difference. But Zubek holds the inside line. Polesny thinking about trying to go around the outside. Oh, no! And that's exactly what you don't want to see. Light contact between Polesny and Zubek has sent him for a spin. And that's going to cause him to lose out. And Michal Šmídl is waving to someone. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe he's got some fans there in person that are holding up some signs, maybe in support, and he's just acknowledging them. Who knows? But we'll get a quick little replay. I think this is pretty straightforward, Matt. That's what we would call an oops-a-daisy.
Yeah, I mean, I was just wondering why these two were battling as hard as they were, because they would have easily closed in on that P4 that these guys are all fighting for, so they're not going to be particularly quick. And again, Polesny makes it even harder for himself by having a spin and then taking out Zubek as well. He's actually ahead of Zubek now, so that's interesting. Must have made a move, and Zubek's actually on the hard compound tyre, which is worth mentioning as well. So Zubek will be able to go a little bit further into the race, as Bashko locking up slightly on that front right, and Blazek not taking the ideal line through there either, which we would have seen the ideal lines. Actually, no, the hot lap wasn't as ideal as I would have liked it from Šmídl, but it was definitely better than the line Blazek just took. But these guys, well, they are so far behind Honzik. No! Big collision. And Sakura tries to avoid it and has to go on the gravel, and that's surely going to mean Sakura goes into P4. Is Bashko going to wait, or is he just going to take the penalty and go? There is some serious collisions going on in this race.
That's another oops-a-daisy right there. I mean, almost identical.
You wouldn't expect it. You wouldn't expect it at these kind of tracks, though. It's not exactly narrow compared to some others that we've raced at this season, and we're just getting lots of taps. And I think it's because this track sort of really does kind of promote different lines into the different corners, so that's what happened there. You know, it's a much tighter line compared to sort of just running a little bit wider through that final corner, although on this particular model they don't have the same camber as they do in real life, where we see the real life Formula 1 drivers not hitting the apex at all. But either way, we're seeing a lot of different lines this afternoon, and it's really kind of throwing a spanner in the works when it comes to collisions.
Yeah, it really does seem that way. I mean, we haven't seen anything like that. Oh gosh, I've just commentator cursed them, but we haven't seen anything like that from Šmídl and Štefanko just yet. But I think that's more down to Štefanko not really being close enough to tap Šmídl. So we could see that happen still, as Blazek, who was holding on to that 4th place position, is now onto the back of Zubek for 8th position. This is really not a part of the circuit where you want to be doing any sort of overtaking, though. Turns 12, 13, 14, really not great overtaking opportunities. You can see him swinging out wide, trying to get a better run, and there it is. We do have a drive-through penalty for Karl Bashko for causing that collision. He is still in 4th position, and he is going to come into the pits right now to serve that penalty. I'd say that's fair. You know, the penalty is fair. I don't think Karl Bashko did that on purpose. I don't think he's a malicious driver or anything like that, but, you know, I would...
That'd be a big statement if you were saying that.
Yeah, that would be pretty bold. But yeah, certainly I think the punishment fits the crime there on that one, so he does head into the pits at the end of lap 10 to serve that penalty. Looks like Jan Sikora as well is going to head into the pits for a stop. He has fitted a set of the hard compound tires, so we've now got Zubek, Sikora, Polesny, and Blazek all onto the hard compounds for this race. Remember, all of the drivers have to use 2 compounds, any 2 compounds. They can use any 2 that they want, but as Matt mentioned earlier, the extreme temperatures here in Sepang means that the medium and hard compound tires are certainly going to be the compounds of choice. So Štefanko still following in that dirty air of the big shot car up ahead of him. I'm sure he's seen the back of that car throughout the course of this season in incredible amounts of times. He probably could draw it from memory at this point. But end of lap 11, rapidly approaching halfway distance, and Štefanko, if anything, I would say has actually lost the ground to Šmídl in recent laps.
Yeah, he had a poor last sector there. I saw him run a little bit wide, and that he's lost a couple of tenths to Šmídl. I was just thinking, who's going to blink first out of Šmídl and Štefanko? Surely it's got to be Štefanko, because he can just do the complete opposite of whatever Šmídl does. But I would imagine he'd go for the undercut, as we have Zubek trying to take P4 from Kostilik. I really do struggle with that word. Kostilik. And no, he comes out on top still, so Zubek's still behind, but he's in the slipstream once again, going down towards turn 1 for the 12th time. Who is going to come out on top? He's going to go for the racing line, which is going to go all the way around the outside. Does he? Oh, I was going to say, does Kostilik go for the late braking manoeuvre? And he does, but they will bang. But now Zubek has the inside line and takes what is P4 on the track for now. But is Martin going to come back at him? I think he might have a little look, but Zubek has much healthier tyres, being on those hard compound tyres. And I think he is just about safe. He is indeed. These guys aren't racing just for P4 though, because some guys behind them have pitted, Sikora, Polesny and Blazek. So it'll be interesting to see where they come out when they stop.
Yep, but Zubek now has clear air, which is going to be very important, of course, when it comes to trying to stay ahead of those guys that have already come into the pits. Speaking of coming into the pits, will we see Martin Štefanko, our championship runner-up so far, but with 2 races remaining, of course, and he's just going to follow Šmídl into the... I think longtime viewers of this 2017 Thrustmaster Virtual GP Championship will know that that is my least favorite thing, when Štefanko just follows Šmídl into the pits. That is definitely...
Yeah, preaching to the choir there.
Yeah, I would appreciate any sort of adjustment to his strategy just to try and change things up. I certainly would... I would recommend that as a former race engineer for another series, which I won't mention at the moment, but certainly I would just try to do something different. You're really not going to gain anything here, and he's going to be hurting those hard tires because he's going to be coming out on those hard tires. He's not going to get any sort of clear air. If he had stayed out 1 extra lap, you know, just the extra lap healthiness on his tires, that would certainly be beneficial. The lap of clear air would be beneficial after Šmídl came in. So certainly from an engineer's point of view, I would have preferred to see him do something different. But, you know, it is Štefanko's race to run. It is his choice. It is his championship. And I'm sure he knows what's best for himself. So Martin does come out of the pits in 7th position. It looks like he is going to stay ahead of Bashko, who again has already been into the pits as well. Blazek and Bashko looking like they're going to trade positions as Bashko's back in the pits. I think he served his penalty and then came back into the pits to actually change his tires.
That's painful. That is.
Yes, yeah, that's definitely painful. He's not out of it just yet, though. You know, it's not like, you know, Robin Lucas, I have to say, unless something horrible happens, he's probably out of contention for anything other than 10th position. It really doesn't seem like this race is going well for Robin Lucas, the Lynx driver.
No, I don't think he's pit. I don't think he's pit either. So it's a disappointing race for him. But he's just getting used to it, isn't he? So we'll allow him to have his few races to get settled in. And Štefanko's had a poor outlap. He's now only 1.5 seconds now behind Šmídl, which is not ideal because he was sitting in around the 7/10 mark. So Štefanko on these hard tyres, maybe they're just getting up to temperature, but Šmídl came out of the pits at exactly the same time, so maybe Šmídl's just got a little bit better sort of he's able to cope with the colder tyres a little bit better, as we are looking at Sakura, who's currently running in P5.
Solid 5th.
Yeah, and Zubek is up in P4 now.
But Zubek is the one who hasn't pitted yet, right? Zubek was the one that started on the hard.
Correct.
That's right. So,
yep, I was just testing you.
Look at good, you're good. But
Thanks.
yeah, that gap to Sakura means I don't think he's going to lose all that much when he comes into the pits, actually. I mean, he might drop down to 6.
I think it's deceiving.
Okay.
It's deceiving because it says 29, then it goes down to 14, and I think it depends what part of the track you're on.
Gotcha.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure where Sakura. No, sorry, Sakura. Zubek is going to feed out because it's quite deceiving. That split times.
He's got some laps still to go, though. We're only hitting halfway distance now, though. So he's got some more laps to try and put in some.
Although he's going to be losing time
yeah,
until he pits. He's going to be losing time. He's on old hard compound tyres compared to everyone else on the fresh ones. And Štefanko is falling away from Šmídl now, nearly over 2 seconds now behind Šmídl, which is disappointing to see for a viewer and a race fan and a commentator as well to see that it's now 2.5 seconds. Štefanko, come on, get your act together, mate. Let's see a fight for the win. But right now, he's going to fall into the clutches of Honzik if he's not careful.
Yeah, visually, you can actually see the difference. I mean, before it was only a few car lengths or so that we would see between the two of them as they came down the start-finish straight. But as we start the second half of this Malaysian Grand Prix, yeah, it is a significant gap. Of course, no DRS in this series, just as a reminder, in case you're new to the Virtual GP series. No DRS at this stage in the championship. We did toy around with DRS a little bit in the early stages, but I think we quickly found that just having KERS was better for the racing and a bit more pure of an experience. But Štefanko would be out of DRS range anyway, even if we did still have it, as, yeah, that gap continues to grow. Potentially, Šmídl, I mean, Štefanko did have pole position. He thought he was going to be, you know, maybe he tried to do the Vettel. Maybe he set up his car to just lead the race and bring it home and win from there, win from pole. And now that he's behind Michal Šmídl, he's just finding it nigh on impossible to actually make an overtake, and now he's just dropping right back. So he may have set up the car to be quicker on mediums and then couldn't actually take advantage of that deficit that he had. But Šmídl is going to come up to the back of somebody, but it is unfortunately Robin Lucas, who is still out on that first medium stint, I believe. So it's really not a great day for Robin Lucas, who we have seen put in some pretty decent performances. So maybe he's just not getting along well with this Malaysian circuit. Maybe the heat's a little too much for him, even if it is virtual heat.
Come on, Honzik, let's get stuck in now and have a fight for P2. If Štefanko's falling away from Šmídl, maybe we'll see Jaroslav get involved and fight with the front two a little bit. He's definitely got the pace at the moment. Let's see what his last lap time is. Yeah, we're matching Štefanko at the moment, 36.0 to 36.1, so pretty much the same. Only a 10th lost that one, but Štefanko seems to be inconsistent at the moment, which is unfortunate for him. Half a second slower than Šmídl on that last lap. So right now, it's looking all very much calm and collected for Šmídl out in front, despite the mediums looking a little bit dodgy. But as you say, I think, yeah, Šmídl definitely has a setup that favours the hard compound tyres over Štefanko, and maybe he's just got that gets them into the operating window a lot quicker. I'm not sure, but either way, Šmídl very much leading from the front, as we have seen a lot this season, but only 3 points separating the top two, so it should be a very exciting finale to this season. I mean, it's been a roller coaster. Some races have been great, some races have been a little bit more steady, to put it that way. But we've certainly had our thrills and spills, as we'll have a look at Palesny in P6. 1.1 seconds or so behind Sakura. You can see both of them on your screens. And will we see these two start fighting? I think they will, because Palesny was 4/10 quicker than Sakura on that last lap. 3/10 slower than Honzik, just to kind of put things into perspective. So not as slow as perhaps they were going at the start of the race, where Štefanko and Šmídl just went, and they've not been seen since.
Yeah, Palesny looking good on this lap too. We've been on board with him, I think, since about turn 5 or so, and he's looking very confident. You know, he's staying away from the curbs there at the exit, which I agree with. Hitting his apex very nicely for turn 12, getting it all slowed down nice and steady. for the penultimate corner and onto the throttle as he comes out, and Martin Štefanko is going to navigate his way past Robin Lucas, who is experiencing some blue flags just then, as Martin Štefanko is starting lap 17 now. But it's looking good for Polesny. Obviously, he had that one incident earlier in the race which dropped him down, but he is now closing up on Sakura, could be challenging for the top 5. Again, Zubek still yet to pit as well, too. So Polesny may, in fact, find himself battling for 4th position as we get to the tail end of this race. And I have to imagine Zubek...
Not bad after the race he's had.
Right, exactly. And Zubek, I have to imagine, is going to be coming into the pits pretty soon here. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen him into the pits already. From a race engineer perspective, certainly I would have been considering pitting him around lap 15, 16, 17, 18 range or so, depending on what kind of life we're seeing. As, again, Polesny looking very confident on the circuit. You know, he's following in the dirty air of that T-Mobile car, but he's keeping everything on the circuit. It's looking very controlled. I'm not seeing any big slides or anything like that. So Polesny, I think, is looking very good. And also, I wanted to say, I really feel like Hanzik is almost like the Ricardo of VGP. Every time his profile picture comes up, he's always got that huge smile, and it always makes me so excited to see Yaroslav. So
he wasn't smiling last time out, though.
No,
was
he was not smiling last time.
Slightly heated. I was going to say, as we're looking at Yaroslav now, what's your opinion on racing gloves driving a sim? What's your thoughts?
I'm in favor of it because I don't know about you, but the little amount of time that I do actually get to sit behind the virtual wheel, my hands get filthy. I don't know if...
Really?
Yeah,
what's on your wheel?
I don't know if it's the... now, it just so happens that I happen to have a Thrustmaster TMX racing wheel, which is for Xbox One and PC.
Other racing wheels are available.
Right. It's, in my opinion, the best starting wheel that if you're looking to get into sim racing. It's under $200 US. If you're looking to start sim racing, it's a great place to start.
Checks in the post, I think.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's a fantastic wheel. But yeah, it deposits some sort of film on my hands, which makes them look absolutely filthy. So maybe he's also using the TMX for this particular event, and he's decided to go with the gloves. But yeah, I you know. If he was wearing a helmet, I would say that's maybe a bit excessive,
yeah,
but I can get on board with the gloves.
That's the line, I think, isn't it? I mean, if you're wearing a helmet, I mean, it's quite unsociable, isn't it, really? They're all sat in the same room. If he's wearing a helmet, like... that's going to be an interesting one. Maybe that's the next step when we get virtual reality. Everyone will be wearing helmets as they look around the room and see their competitors, but not actually looking at them. They'll be looking at them in the grid. Who knows? It'll be an interesting thing, VR. It's certainly something that's coming up into the world of motorsport, isn't it? As Zubek is finally going to come and say hello to his mechanics, as Sakura is coming under pressure from Polesny. But I don't think he's close enough. I'm not going to do a crofty and start screaming and shouting into this last corner, because there's not a chance that is going to be an overtaking manoeuvre. But Polesny definitely got the pace advantage, but has he got enough of an advantage to... where's Zubek going to come out, actually? There you go. He's not going to jump these guys yet, but he's going to have much fresher tyres. Oh, dearie me, where's Polesny going? Saw someone very attractive in the grandstands, I think, there. He was going to have a little wave, but not sure where he's going. But I think Zubek is looking pounds favourite to finish P4 here.
I mean, he is right behind them, and with healthier tires and with softer tires, he pitted at the end of lap 18, which means he only needs to do 10 laps on this set of medium compound tires, and he's on low fuel as well. We're going to be seeing qualifying laps here from Peter Zubek. Now, really, the only thing I think that can hold him up is the fact that Polesny and Sakura are locked into a battle of their own. So if Zubek can catch Polesny unawares, and catch him in a moment where he's not necessarily battling with Sakura, or even catch him in a moment where he is battling with him. But essentially, Zubek is going to have to play this smart. He's going to have to be clever about this. because it is difficult to overtake somebody when they're in the process of trying to overtake somebody, which he will currently find. But again, he does have the softer tires. He does have the healthier tires. You can see Polesny taking a very tight line. He's much closer to the back of Jan Sakura as they come out of that penultimate corner. But again, it really just seems like he doesn't have the straight line speed to mount any sort of challenge into that final corner. He's going to be much closer on this attempt than he was on the last one. I'd say about a car's length closer as they come out of the final corner, but we just saw him struggling on the back straight to close up to that T-Mobile car, and I really don't see that changing at all into turn one here. He does get very, very close, but yeah, again, just not able to pull alongside, and Zubek now finding that difficulty that I was mentioning earlier. It's just that little bit more difficult to overtake somebody because, of course, Polesny is picking up the slipstream off of Sakura. Here we go, though. Oh, no, and another tap.
Oh my God.
Another tap, and Zubek says, thank you very much. Polesny says, what the heck? I'm sure that's not the word that he chose in the back of his mind, but wow, that is incredible. Polesny wondering what is going on. Zubek saying, thank you very much.
Involved in another incident.
And now Zubek actually, he might be on to, I mean, there's not that many laps yet left in this race. I mean, there's only 8 laps after this one, but Zubek could find himself, with these medium compound tires, could find himself closing up on Hanzik, especially if Hanzik makes any sort of mistakes, which we haven't seen from him.
Yeah, I think that's living the American dream there, Justin. I'm not sure unless he's got the super softs that last for another 8 laps.
It's more possible than it was a lap ago. I'll say that much.
Oh dearie me! I'm not sure how that's happened. I don't. It's almost like it was a little bit of a brake check. I'm not sure. Like it just drove straight into the back of him. It's not been the best racecraft, has it, this afternoon from these guys? I think that's when. Well, they didn't obviously do it on the screen, but I think they waved to each other in the room because obviously I still find it very strange that they're all in the same room. It's also very, very cool as well, as we now have Polesny and Sakura once again, but this time they've got Kostiliak, whatever his name is, in P7 out of nowhere is going to get involved and maybe try and take P5, but I think that Sakura and Polesny, unless they've sustained any damage, will be a little bit quicker than the guys behind again. But you never know, there'll be probably another 2 or 3 incidents with these guys involved, and I'm sure they'll have a few words to say to each other at the end of this race. But right now, it looks like they might have a chance here. He's in the slipstream. Will he dive it up the inside after all? No, he's thought better of it, which is fair enough, because that would have ended in one of the cars being in the grandstand, probably.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. And Martin Kostelik, whose name we've been butchering now for a couple of races. I mean, I got
We'll call him Kosti from
there
now on.
You go, Kosti.
Call him Kosti.
Yeah, so Kosti's. I mean, he's jumped right in though and been competitive. You know, we haven't seen him getting lapped in this race. He's definitely getting up to speed. I really think with a bit more practice and a bit more dedication, we could see him potentially being a challenger.
You don't know, he might be playing 24 hours a day, Justin. Like,
well, I mean, you know,
poor guy.
Even if you play 24 hours a day, it's going to take a lot of days of 24 hours of racing in order to get up to that Šmídl.
Okay, so you're telling me he's not dedicated enough yet. Okay, right.
He just needs more time, but certainly I think a promising prospect for the league, so I really hope he sticks around for 2018 because I certainly think given some winter's time of testing and practice and just some more time racing with these quality drivers that we've got in Virtual GP, I think we could see him really being a threat. Because again, I mean, he's in 7th, he's stayed out of trouble as well, which is honestly a big part of being a racing driver. So he's got the mentality, he's got the speed to stay with these guys and everything. So certainly I'm bolstered by that. I think oh God, don't do it again, Polesny.
Oh my God, what happened?
Oh man, the bumper cards. I think Sebastian Vettel would have some choice words for these drivers today if he was watching the race. Oh man. And Sakura just stays at the middle of the circuit there, and Polesny just at the last moment decides to go around the outside at turn 4, and it doesn't quite work out for him. Thankfully, everybody still has all of their carbon fiber, and everybody's facing the right direction. But once again, that's brought Kosti right back into it as they make their way through the double right hitter. Oh no!
So wide.
Oh no, Kosti!
The commentators curse.
I'm so sorry.
That is all your fault, Justin. He's heard that.
Oh man, I feel so bad. I'm so sorry, Costi. That's going to drop him right back down into 9th position with just over painful. just over 5 laps remaining in this race. But still got plenty to fight for here. Incident involving Polesny and Sakura and Zubek as well will be investigated after the race. So there's going to be an investigation into that one, so we'll have to...
What did Zubek do?
I'm not entirely sure. He may have been a victim, and that's the only reason he... or maybe he's
being brought in as an eyewitness.
I don't know, but yeah, exactly. There you go. He did have a fantastic view of that incident, so yeah, maybe he's just being brought in as an eyewitness. There you go. That's some... putting the old noggin to use there. But yeah, handful of laps remaining. Polesny looks like he's going to play it safe with Sakura, though. Yeah, I think these guys are walking on eggshells at this point.
So, if you want to vote for your favourite, well, not favourite, but the person that you think did Driver of the Day, then you can vote on the website, which is scrolling along the bottom of the screen. And also, I'm not allowed to forget to mention that there's also a competition for luxury Swiss watches, thanks to Certina, on the website below. And the top 2 in the competition right now, Mavic with 127 points, and second is McLaren Honda with 120. Those two, I think, have featured for most of this Virtual GP season, and they're still at the top with their predictions. So, McLaren Honda, will they win? Probably not. I'd probably put my money on Mavic, if I'm honest, but that's just the real-life banter that we've had with that guy popping up now and again. And Honzik, ooh, hello, half a second quicker than Štefanko with 5 laps to go. Is Honzik about to get stuck in?
Well, I'm not. I don't know about that. I mean, he's definitely pushing.
Oh, right, sorry. So you're telling me that Zubek's going to catch a 30-second deficit, but Honzik can't do a 4-second gap?
That's right. I'm not so sure, man. But, I mean, we'll see. I'm less and less optimistic about Zubek as each lap goes on. I will admit that. You've got me on that one. But Karl Baško, on the other hand, remember, I mentioned earlier in the race the Blazek and Baško battle going on the entire race, and it looks like I was fairly accurate with that one. Blazek maintaining that 7th place position, holding on to P7, and with just 5 laps remaining for them, they just finished lap 23, starting lap 24 now for these drivers. And Baško just having a look at the back of that Ben Q car, has been for quite a while, and we could see a bit of desperation start to set in. I mean, we see that at every motor race that happens, whether virtual or real. As the race goes on, the desperation starts to set in, and the drivers start realizing they have less and less time. It does say Baško is 0 seconds behind Blazek. I'm glad we switched back to that battle, as it looked like they were side by side heading into turn 4, but no, Baško maintains that 8th place position. Blazek holding on to 7th for now as they navigate their way through the double right-hander. And I don't remember when they pit, but here comes Polesny now on Sakura. He's going to have to go around the outside, the long way around the hairpin. Don't touch the back end of that T-Mobile car. And Polesny does manage to stay away from the back end of that car. And actually, Sakura having to go defensive into turn 11. You really don't see that too often. It's a short run down towards turn 12, which is a very high-speed left-hander, and then into the right-hander and penultimate corner of the Sepang International Circuit as well. And Polesny's just all over the back of him. No contact that time, though. Good defensive driving from Jan Sakura.
The corner that Sakura got there, sorry, Justin, was absolutely unreal. That was he was pretty much pushing him around the corner, but then Sakura just left him. He must have saved so much Kers. And let's see if he loses a lot of the time down this straight. But no, he seems to be pretty safe once again. It must be so frustrating for Polesny. They're doing 37.9s now. Like, they are so much slower than what they would be going in free air. And unfortunately, we don't have anyone to sort of punish these guys battling at the moment, because Blazek is 4 seconds back, and he has Baško all up in his mirrors, so he's got something to worry about already. And oh dear, well, I mean, it says Stefanko's now. Well, okay, I know it does change quite a lot, and I'm assuming it's going to go back down again. I'm just looking to see. It's around 7 seconds, 7, 6. Okay, it's back to normal. It said 12, and I was like, right, that's a bit weird. But yeah, Honzik looking like just about kind of closing in, but I think he's going to run out of laps, unfortunately. And the only real battles... Oh, dearie
that
me,
was some
Baško,
understeer.
where is you? Yeah, kids, if you're wondering what understeer was, that was a visual representation of a car not wanting to turn. And, well, dearie me, Baško's tyres are absolutely just torn to shreds. You can see he just can't get any sort of traction. He's just sliding about the place if he just even clips the curb.
Whoa.
And oh, look at this. This is awful. But it seems like, to be fair, he's not losing much time to Blazek, so it seems like both of these guys are absolutely destroyed.
I mean, if Bashko's tires are this bad, imagine how bad Blazek's are, because Bashko's doing this in dirty air. So I can only imagine what Blazek's tires are like, but yeah, they must be seriously hurting those two.
The one person that won't be struggling for tyres is Robin Lucas, who's just gone into the pits for some super softs. I don't know. I haven't been monitoring his strategy completely, but I don't know if he's done 26 laps on mediums and then gone on to the super softs. If so, Robin, you need to check your strategy, mate, because no one else is doing what you're doing.
He needs an engineer.
Yeah, maybe he'll get fastest lap, although he has been a little bit off the pace. So if he does manage it, though, I'll be very, very impressed. But then at the same time, a super soft compared to the fact these guys have been running mediums and hards. Robin, if you don't get super softs, I will be very, very upset with you. But either way, we're going to focus our attentions to Bashko and Blazek as they now come side by side into turn number 4. The BenQ car just holding out ahead, and Bashko going to try and come back, but there's no overtaking positions through here. It's all very much single file. Wow, dearie me, the understeer again. That is painful to watch. I don't want any more onboards of Bashko, because it's just, as a racer watching this, I'm like, dearie me, put some more front wing on, lad.
Yeah, this is difficult stuff, but I got to give it to Blazek. He's doing well here. He did manage a bit of a lock up into that turn 9 hairpin, but he does stay ahead, doesn't run off the circuit, keeps it all on the black stuff, which is really the important thing when your tire life is starting to go in the tail stages of this Malaysian Grand Prix. Clearly,
Blazek was running in P4, wasn't he?
Wow, Bashko very wide once again, but again he's running wide, but he's sticking to the close-up to the back of Blazek, which again...
Oh no, he's done now.
Yeah, this makes me think Blazek's tires are even worse than Bashko's, even though Bashko clearly struggling. Was that a lift off there? I'm not sure if he didn't shift into 7th gear at the right time, but he's going to try to switch back. Oh, it is worked out beautifully for him up the inside, and he's going to take that position. Of course, now Blazek is going to get the slipstream here. He's already moved out of the slipstream, though. They're side by side. Bashko with the inside line heading into turn 1 to start the penultimate lap of this race. Holy cow! An incredible dive bomb from Blazek is going to put him back into P7. And Bashko back down into 8th. I mean, respect to Blazek there. I don't know if he's going to hold on to it into turn 4. It's very, very close. No more oops-a-daisies, please, guys. Don't touch each other. This is fantastic racing, though, we're seeing between Bashko and Blazek. Bashko goes around the outside at turn 4, gives him the inside line for turn 5. Surely that's going to be enough to maintain the position. He leaves room at the inside of turn 6. The BenQ car gets a big ol' snap of oversteer, though. And that is the end of that battle. And he could potentially lose other positions, I'm not sure. But it's all looked very controlled for this man out at the front. Michal Šmídl, as you mentioned, with a 7 to 14 second gap to Martin Štefanko in 2nd position. He was absent from the race in Monza, but he has returned in dominant fashion here, Matt.
Yeah, I'm glad we had that little battle, though, with Blazek and Bashko. It's like watching two shopping trolleys battling each other. That was like they had absolutely no grip, and they were just sliding about everywhere. And unfortunately, Blazek just pushed to the edge of the tyre just that little bit too much. They were crying for help, and he just wasn't giving. I was just going to say, I saw in the bottom right, there was another collision between Polesny and Sakura. These two just cannot stop crashing into each other. I'd like to see a replay, but I just saw Polesny.
Look at this shaking. Shake my head.
In the bottom right, just throw his hands up in the air. He couldn't believe the fact he's had another collision. And yet he's still sitting in P6 somehow. He probably would have been battling with Zubek, maybe even Honzik, had he not had an instant free, if he had had an instant free race. But either way, let's cast our attention to Šmídl, who returns in dominant fashion and wins the Malaysian Grand Prix. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, no ipsy daisies for him. God, that was a lot of phrases going in there, wasn't there? But Šmídl, do you enjoy that? But Šmídl was, yes, absolutely dominant. Štefanko, not sure what happened to him with those hard compound tyres. Yeah. Disappointing. Honzik close at the end and was pushing very hard. And oh my dive bomb, that was, I mean, Polesny really was just pushing his luck there. My days. What's your thoughts on that, Justin?
I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the term A for effort, but I don't give him an A for effort on that one. I mean, he definitely gave it
A for aggressive, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. A for aggressive for sure. Zubek with a relatively lonely 4th place position, which we have seen from Zubek in the past. I think lonely 4th place positions are Zubek's specialty in Virtual GP 2017. As once again, he does pick up a nice haul of points, though. Best of the rest, just outside the podium positions. As you mentioned before, though, Štefanko just nowhere on those hard compound tires, and I assume that's what Šmídl and Zubek are talking about right now. Šmídl probably just telling him, yeah, man, he's just nowhere on the hard compound tires, and Zubek can't believe it. He's shocked that Štefanko had such little pace. I'm sure that's not what they're talking about at all, but I'm going to pretend that's exactly what they're talking about.
It's fine.
Oh, yeah. I think I do know what Polesny is saying, though.
And here we have it.
The race results. We're going to do it simultaneously, you know?
We'll do it once at a time. Okay, so Michal Šmídl wins. He got the fastest lap, so even Robin didn't even get the fastest lap. Shocking. You do the rest.
Yeah, but Štefanko, 15.7 seconds in the end. That is a massive gap, just 3.2 seconds to Hanzik in 3rd position. So definitely a disappointing day for Štefanko. However, with 2 races remaining, he is still only 11 points behind the big shot car, so still lots to play for.
Yeah, he can definitely still win the championship from there. That's two wins, and Šmídl finishing 2nd, so that'll be very, very interesting to see how that unfolds. But I hope you guys have enjoyed that Malaysian Grand Prix Round 10 for the Thrustmaster Virtual GP Championship. There's the podium. My name is Matthew Gallagher. Thank you very much, Justin, for joining me once again, and we'll see you next time for the penultimate round of the season.